Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Zero Davila. Welcome back to Save Our System IT. Today we'll continue with part 8 of our BusyBox series. getty, short for getty, is a Unix program running on a host computer that manages physical or virtual terminals, TTYs. When it detects a connection, it prompts for a username and runs the login program to authenticate the user. Originally, on traditional Unix systems, getty handled connections to serial terminals, often teletype machines, connected to a host computer. The TTY part of the name stands for teletype but has come to mean any type of text terminal. One getty process serves one terminal. In some systems, for example Solaris, getty was replaced by ttymon. Personal computers running Unix-like operating systems, even if they do not provide any remote login services, may still use getty as a means of logging in on a local virtual console. Cycling through the TTYs can be done by the key combination Ctrl Alt F1 to F6. The key combination Ctrl D can often be used to determine a TTY. Starting X from a command line style TTY can be done by means of the command start X. Instead of the login program, getty may also be set up by the system administrator to run any other program, for example PPPD or point-to-point protocol daemon, to provide a dial-up internet connection. Grep, which stands for Global Regular Expression Print, processes text line by line and prints any lines which match a specific pattern. Grep is a powerful tool for matching a regular expression against the text in a file, multiple files, or a stream of input. It searches for the pattern of text that you specify on the command line and outputs the result for you. The groups command prints the group membership for each username, or, if no username is specified, for the current process, which may differ if the group's database has changed. Gunzip takes a list of files on its command line and replaces each file whose name ends up with .jz, -jz, .z, -z or _z, ignoring case, and which begins with the correct magic number with an uncompressed file without the original extension. Gunzip also recognizes the special extension .tjz and .taz as shorthands for .tar, .jz and .tar.z respectively. When compressing, gzip uses the .tjz extension if necessary instead of truncating a file with a .tar extension. Gunzip can currently decompress files created by gzip, zip, compress-h or pack. The detection of the input format is automatic. When using the first two formats, Gunzip checks a 32-bit CRC. For pack, Gunzip checks the uncompressed length. The standard compressed format was not designed to allow consistency checks. However, Gunzip is sometimes able to detect a bad .z file. If you get an error when uncompressing a .z file, do not assume that the .z file is correct simply because the standard uncompressed does not complain. This generally means that the standard uncompressed does not check its input and happily generates garbage output. The SCO compress-h format, LZH compression method, does not include a CRC but also allows some consistency checks. gzip reduces the size of the name files using Lempel zip coding, also known as LZ77. Whenever possible, each file is replaced by one with the extension .jz, while keeping the same ownership modes, access and modification times. If no files are specified, or if a file name is a hyphen, the standard input is compressed to the standard output. gzip will only attempt to compress regular files. In particular, it will ignore symbolic links. If the compressed file name is too long for its file system, gzip truncates it. gzip attempts to truncate only the parts of the file name longer than 3 characters. A part is delimited by dots. If the file name consists of small parts only, the longest parts are truncated. For example, if file names are limited to 14 characters, gzip.msdos.exe is compressed to jzi.msd.exe.jz. Names are not truncated on systems which do not have a limit on file name length. By default, gzip keeps the original file name and timestamp in the compressed file. These are used when decompressing the file with the -n option. This is useful when the compressed file name was truncated or when the timestamp was not preserved after a file transfer. Compressed files can be restored to their original form using gzip-d or gunzip or zcat. If the original name saved in the compressed file is not suitable for its file system, a new name is constructed from the original one to make it legal. Halt notes that the system is being brought down in the file /var/log/wtmp, and then either tells the kernel to halt, reboot, or power off the system. If halt or reboot is called when the system is not in run level 0 or 6, in other words when it's running normally, shutdown will be invoked instead. Head makes it easy to output the first part of files. Head by default prints the first 10 lines of each file to standard output. With more than one file, it precedes each set of output with a header identifying the file name. If no file is specified or when a file is specified as a hyphen, head reads from the standard input. In computing, a hex dump is a hexadecimal view of computer data, from RAM or from a file or storage device. Looking at a hex dump of data is commonly done as part of debugging or of reverse engineering. In a hex dump, each byte, meaning 8 bits, is represented as a 2-digit hexadecimal number. Hex dumps are commonly organized into rows of 8 or 16 bytes, sometimes separated by white spaces. Some hex dumps have the hexadecimal memory address at the beginning and or a checksum byte at the end of each line. Although the name implies the use of base 16 output, some hex dumping software may have options for base 8 meaning octal output or base 10 meaning decimal output. And that's about it for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Any questions you might have are to be left down in the comment section or on our website www.sosit.co. Again, that's www.sosit.co. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.